Hello folks, Travis here from Tales of a Campground Host. Where on earth are we today? Well, we're in the Round Lake area. Specifically, we are at Twin Lakes Campground east of Park Falls where we live. We came here because it's our last trip of the season. It's close to home, and with it being late fall, it means that it gets dark early. So me personally, I don't like setting up the trailer in the dark. You've seen us do reviews of this campground before, but we thought this is our first time that we've actually had this campground to ourselves. And we know you enjoy our walkthroughs where we tell you how we would use the campground. And frankly, we have enough experience with this campground because it is one of our old standby off-season favorites that we can definitely give you that information. So what do you say we take a hike and we'll show you the sights, we'll tell you what we think about all of them, and give you an in-depth view of Twin Lake Campground in the Park Falls Medford district of the Chequamegon-Nicolet National Forest. So here we are walking in where the self-service fee station is. This campground does have one double occupancy site. Your regular sites are $15 a night and the double occupancy site is $30 a night. Up here you can see there's a little bit of a fork. To the left is the boat landing. This is a no-wake lake, and it is a tiny lake. So if you're someone like us that does not appreciate when the jet skis come flying down on the 4th of July, this might be a place to check out. Here we have site 17. We have spent time on this site. In fact, this is the official birthplace of our YouTube channel.
I was just going to say, of our adventures into YouTube.
We originally started with the channel of Destination Great Lakes, and most of the videos on the channel are still labeled that way because, well, we just changed over to Tales of a Campground Host. But this is a cool little site. You got to push uphill a little bit, but it's a big enough site that we could get our 25-footer in here easily, and our old hybrid was not a problem. Nice little fire pit, plenty of shade, but it's a good sized site so that if you wanted to, say, pitch a tent in addition to a camper, you certainly could. Across the way here is Site 1. Yes, the numbering system on this campground's a little weird.
What I think they did is they started on
the right side.
The right side of the road, thank you. And worked their way up 1, 2, 3, and once they hit up to the loop,
started counting
down the other direction.
So you're going to notice that as we're going, the site numbers are going to kind of bounce around because we were just on 17 and now we're going to 1.
You know, and in some ways I kind of like this site because it is back a ways.
It is, but in the same token, it's right against the entry road.
True, it is right against the entry road.
But
there's a little curve here.
But I see this as a good site for a pop-up camper.
A tent, something small.
Tent. I don't think I'd want to try and put our 30-footer in here because, frankly, it would, well, I'll show you. The back of the trailer would probably be right in here somewhere. Maybe. But I'd have to swing around those rocks in order to make that happen. So in all reality, the back of the trailer would probably end up against this tree right here.
And there really wouldn't be much room to get around
and there wouldn't be a whole lot of room under the awning or anything. So, like I said, I see this site as more of a tent or a pop-up, an R-pod,
small.
something small. If you're going to bring a trailer in here, it's got to be a small one.
Yeah.
Heading across the way, we're going to check out Site 16. By the way, it was a balmy 28 degrees last night. And again, this site, I like this site, but because of these couple of trees right ahead of me, they limit how far in you can push your unit. So again, our unit, I'd have to stop right about here. I've got this big white pine right here, so I'm not going to be really able to open the awning. And, you know, I'd like to be able to push back further because there is this nice big space here, which would be great for a tent. Nice little view of the lake behind the site. That is one thing that 17 doesn't have. And you can see the aerator through the trees. This lake is so small that it actually needs an aerator, otherwise it has fish kills every year.
Yep. I'll give you an idea of how far back in we are.
Lots of privacy in these first couple of sites.
Nice deep driveways.
Very nice deep driveways. And here we have site 2. This one, definitely, without a doubt, I could get our camper in.
Oh yeah.
Very easily. I'd have to swing a little bit, but no big deal. And it'd be cozy, but I could get our trailer in here.
Yeah.
Very easily. Because I'd just push back so that the landing jacks are right at the end of the site. The tail would hang over a little bit, but no big deal. There'd be enough room for the awning and the doors and everything and the slide. So this site would be fine for a tent, a small unit, and even a moderate-sized unit. You could get a bigger one in here, but I don't know that I would want to.
It'd be cozy.
It would be. But when you consider what's across the way in Site 15,
Yeah.
if you've got a big unit, that's where I would go.
Yeah, I'd take 15 or 16.
Not 16, because it's got those trees.
Oh yeah, that's right.
17 I would take.
Yeah.
So here's 15. And again, this site, even with that stump there on the left,
It's far enough off to the side.
it's off to the side far enough I could push a really good sized unit
Oh
in
yeah.
here. And again, it's got it. Once we get up on the rise here, you can see it's got a nice view of the lake. Nice picnic table, fire pit, good open area. Plenty of room for, like I said, a big camper, an RV, a nice tent, maybe a couple of tents if you and a couple of your buddies want to camp here. Beautiful view of the lake. Only downside to this site, and the next couple for that matter, is there's not as much privacy. You can see our trailer down on site 13. And there's not a lot of space between you and the neighbor. But one nice thing is this place does have an electric well. More on that later. This is not an electrified campground.
No.
Across the way here, site 3. This is a small site. I could get our camper in it.
Yeah.
But it's cozy. This is, in all reality, this site, if I was, just passing through, this is the site I would grab.
A good one-nighter.
This is a good one-nighter. I mean, you could spend more time here.
Oh yeah.
But, and as you can see, I'm not going to walk in because you can see the entirety of the site from here. It's an open site.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of privacy from the road. And you could get a big unit in here, but like I said, it's not necessarily where I would want to spend a week.
No.
Moving our way down, we'll check out 14, but you kind of already got a view of it.
Now, one thing here, sites 5 through 11 are reservable. The rest are first come, first serve. And we're going to be getting into the reservables shortly.
Again, this site, I could push our trailer up in underneath these spruce and white pine, kind of up against that quadruple birch up there. I could get our trailer in here. And it's got a reasonable view of the lake, and there is a fair amount of space, but what you lose is the privacy aspect of it. You're right next to the well, which is great if, like us, your kids are constantly needing more water. But again, this is not necessarily a site I would want to spend a week on.
No.
Mainly because of the lack of privacy. Over here we have a little storage shed that the Forest Service uses. This campground does occasionally have a host. And then we have a set of privies. They're decent privies.
Yeah, they are.
And then, like I said, we have the pump house, which if I scroll up this tree here, you can kind of see it. Let's see here. Right there, there's a solar panel. So this is a solarized well. That's how it works. And something kind of cool back here that we'll show you is there is a pavement path leading to our site, which actually is the host site, and site 14. But there's this really cool little set of wooden stairs that leads to a platform with some benches, and then more steps that lead down to the lake. And I think Stephanie's going to head down there and check that out.
Well, there's not the best lake access here, but there is lake access. So you could do some fishing. There's really no swimming area here. But still, it's a nice little lake to come to.
One thing I did want to mention is you'll see this at every single Forest Service water source. No bathing, no washing dishes, no fish cleaning here. And that's because it could contaminate the water source. But I can't tell you the number of times I've seen people do those things. And here's site 13. As I said, this is the site we took for the weekend. We have seen the host here before when we've been here and there's been a host. It's a fairly deep site. I didn't have any problems putting the trailer on it. In fact, I could have pushed it back another 10-15 feet if I really wanted to. So you can put a good sized site in here. You can hear Virginia practicing her clarinet and the furnace is running because it is, like I said, rather cold. But look at that view that you get on this site. That's why I picked this site for the weekend. Is it's got an absolutely gorgeous view. I should note, as you can see, the cell booster is on. It's not doing a whole lot. The cell coverage here is pretty bad. It's one of those, you have to have signal in order for it to boost signal, and it's not doing a very good job of boosting signal right now. Site 4. Now this one I wouldn't mind spending some time in because it's a little more recessed, it's a little more private. The only downfall I see to this site, and it's not a huge issue, is you have to push downhill, which could make leveling a little interesting. And it's not super steep, it's not really a problem. But again, you could get a good sized trailer in here and have some space. And with, you know, being in this kind of secluded view, I would have no problem being next to the bathrooms. I mean, they're right through the woods here, maybe 50 yards, but you can't see them. And the water's behind Stephanie over there. I would have no problem spending a couple of days or a week here. Unlike Site 3, which, as I said, me personally, I'd use that one if I was passing through. Which I guess you could even say is kind of an etiquette thing.
Yeah.
If you're just passing through, there's no need to tie up a site with a beautiful view. I mean, you certainly can. There's nothing wrong with it. But me personally, if I'm just looking for a place to crash for the night, I don't care about the view.
Well, also, but from our experiences, though, people passing through usually tend to pull out fairly early in the day anyway.
So the view's wasted on them. There's the Predator just sitting there humming along. Site 12. This one, last time we were here, there was one more rock there in front of the picnic table. You couldn't push your trailer past it if you wanted to. The site actually ended there. And when we were here last, you could still get a good sized unit on here, but the fire pit and picnic table were over here. It was a little smaller site. They've since removed that rock and made this part of the site.
This one has an amazing view now, too.
It does. And this fire pit is huge. I wish our fire pit was this big.
No kidding.
I mean, it's huge. But again, just an amazing view. And stair access down to the lake. This is probably, if I were to go swimming, this is one of the few places I would consider it because it's got reasonable weed-free access.
Honestly, this is probably the best lake access, except for the boat landing.
And maybe 8.
And maybe 8 off the whole campground. But
And
let's see
again,
about this access, so because the site technically ends where these ties are, you could walk through the woods and anybody could use it.
Yep.
So it's not just for this site.
right. Well, and last time we were here, we were actually on the site through the woods here. We used to cut through this trail that you can see right here to come and use the stairs.
But that's again, the site ended.
But that's when the site ended where those rocks are.
So to give you an idea of actually how deep this site is.
Oh yeah, this site is deep.
I'm actually currently standing at the ties. So yeah, it's a nice deep one.
And again, we haven't hit the reservable sites.
And all the reservable sites, like I mentioned earlier, are sites 5 through 11. And those are actually all on one end of the campground, and the non-reservables are at the front end.
Yeah, the back sites are the reservable ones. So again, that was site 12. And now we have site 5. This site, I
would use this.
would use this one, and I'd use it for a prolonged stay.
Right.
Especially if I was someone that was going to be doing more hiking, or, you know, I didn't care to have water access.
Right.
Because this site, you feel like you're nestled into the woods. I'd have no problem putting our bigger trailer in here. You know, I'd have to be sure to watch my rear bumper and kind of finesse it a little bit because I'd need to get past this maple here in order to open the awning. But I'd have enough room that I could put our trailer in here. And it's nice, it's cozy, and what I like is the fire pit and the table are kind of tucked behind these trees, so you get some privacy when you're, especially once you get your trailer in here. Again, you could put a tent in here and all that. We've seen that, but this site, what I like about it in particular is that you can see there's this little corner, and then the fire pit's tucked into the woods. And if we had our trailer in here, you wouldn't be able to see us.
No.
And I like that. Site 11. This one we've stayed on. In fact, I'll even put up a little picture here of when we were there. You can see we had a pretty old hardside trailer at the time. We pulled it with the mighty Suburba tank. We chased the sun all over the place trying to do keep up with the solar panels, and it was a very hot and sticky weekend. We didn't have a generator at the time.
Well, that's one thing about this campground. If you do use solar, it's not the best for that.
It's very, very shaded. And don't get me wrong, there are times during noon that you get good sun. And when we were here, the heat index was knocking on 100. In fact,
we had severe storms come through.
Yeah, we pulled anchor and ran for
left.
it. We pulled anchor and ran for it because it was so bad. We was like, nope, You know, again, decent view of the lake. You could put pretty much anything on here. This is a big site.
This is a shallow driveway, but wide site.
But it's still deep enough that you could put a 30-foot unit in here very easily.
Oh, yeah. I'm quite a ways into the woods off the site, and
Well, I'll show you where she is.
just to get a good view of it.
See, she's in the woods, but not too bad.
Right.
But again, this is a big site. And again, that's site 11, which is a reservable site. Site 6. Again, it's the fire pit's kind of tucked away around a corner a little bit. You get some privacy, plenty of room for a good sized unit, tent, whatever you wanted to put in. Just a good private site, but not nearly as deep as that last one. Again, Stephanie's going into the woods just a little bit to try and show the actual size of the site.
Not a bad size.
Site 10.
Honestly, I think Site 10 is one of the smallest sites here.
It definitely is. And part of what makes it small is the usable space is kind of killed by that stump.
It's awkward. You've got a ledge right on the back side of it.
So you can't really, you can surround the picnic table, but or not the picnic table, the fire, but you got to be careful.
Yeah.
There's enough room that you could put a reasonable sized trailer in here. But the world kind of ends right there. Trail access down to the lake, but it's all boggy. So you really can't do anything when you get down there.
And that's like, I was just going to say, and that's like Site 11 as well.
Yeah.
This whole bog goes all the way around.
So you don't get good access.
No.
Which is unfortunate because it's a good view.
It is.
And it would be fun to be able to tie a canoe up there and spend your time canoeing or kayaking.
So,
but you can't do it here because of the bog. And I think that bog has gotten quite a bit bigger since we were here last. I think so too.
Oh.
Should note, I don't know how well you can see it because of the sun, but they have bat houses all over this campground.
Yes.
And I love that. Site 7. This one's kind of cool as well.
Yeah.
This is kind of in a little bit of a spruce stand. Which is, it really gives you kind of a neat vibe. I almost feel like I'm entering some sort of a forbidden forest.
Right.
And it's deep enough that you could put a decent sized trailer in here, but you'd have to kind of fight with these roots a little bit. Most trailers won't have a problem dealing with it, but you can't push back too deep because you got that rock there. But again, the fire pit is kind of tucked around a corner. You got your privacy, and you've got just this nice spruce forest with some birch, and there's a maple. It just kind of has that deep forest feel to it.
It does. You know, and that's one thing I noticed here is the fire pits and picnic tables are kind of off to the side. They're not just kind of thrown anywhere. It's like it was thought about, where is this stuff going to be placed.
And you say that, but now let's look at Site 9.
Site 9. Yeah, true.
Site 9, there's a couple of problems I have with this site. One, if I'm going to put our trailer in it, I either have to put the back end against that birch, or I have to try and back under it, but because that white pine there has some low-hanging branches that would prohibit me from doing that. So really, it limits the size of the trailer you could get in here. The tongue of the trailer would probably be, if I had to guess, right about there. So, and let me back out here so you can see how close to the road that is. You know, my truck would be hanging out into the road while I'm unhooking. I've done that before. I don't like doing it. So me personally, I would like to see the Forest Service take that little clump of trees out, because that would give you another 8 to 10 feet of usable space. The other thing is, I could put the trailer to the left of these trees, but look where the fire pit is. I'd like to see the fire pit over there.
Yeah, ideally that, I think, would be the better place for it, is over here.
You know, take these trees out, move that fire pit, and you'd have an amazing sight. The view is a little obscured, but it's still a very, very good view. I should mention this is a very small lake, if you didn't notice. And I love this little lake. It is so peaceful, even when this campground is full.
Yeah.
So that was site 9. Now we come to the double occupancy site. And this one, I don't know. I go back and forth on whether or not it should even be double occupancy.
I think it depends on what you put on it.
Yes, but if it's double occupancy, it should be able to take 2 trailers. And
fairly easily.
I should mention there's the storm shelter bunker type bathroom. Actually, no, that's wood too. There is no actual bunker here.
No, I think that one is it.
It might be, but it's not a bunker.
No.
So that you can see there's a little loop, and we'll walk that in a minute. But here's site 8. And this is the double occupancy site. It's a big site. There's no doubt about that. And in fact, it's actually a pull-through site. Kind of. You can come off the loop, and there's a little drive that you could pull through. So you could come off the loop there, you could pull through there, come up through here, and out. It's pull-through. But getting 2 trailers on here would be tricky.
We've seen it.
We've seen it. We were talking hypothetically if we were to do our Michigan trip here, who would we put here? Because we have the biggest trailer.
And I honestly think the 2 small trailers would be better.
And then my parents and my brother have smaller trailers. And if you were careful, you could back through here, and then maybe with a little finesse, you'd have to move this picnic table. You could swing around this red pine and put the back end of one trailer over there nestled in amongst those red pines. And then you could put a bigger trailer up there. You could do it. Or you could put a smaller trailer on the driveway there and a bigger trailer up there. There's options. But it's kind of, because of the trees, it limits,
tricky.
It limits what you could put on here. There is a grill, which is nice to see. Fire pit. I really wish they had a big fire pit here like they do on that other site.
Yeah.
But again, this is a nice site. It's a pull-through site. You could get several tents on here easily. You could get 2 trailers on, but they'd have to be up there. Or you'd have to be really good at backing and be able to swing once you clear that red pine
over there
and try and get over there. You might be able to back in down here. There's options. The other nice thing about this site is the water access. They've got these steps that go down to the lake. And every time I see this little box on the right here, I feel like they should have a planter there. Like some marigolds or something, I don't know. This is the other place I would consider trying to swim. You can kind of see in the water, though, that there's some stuff you'd have to watch out for. But arguably, once you're down here, this is the best view of the lake. You can see it kind of ends over there. But check out that view. And now you can see why I like this little lake. There's one more little gem we want to show you with this campground, and it's not a site. I wish there was a site there. I don't know how they get it there. There's a reason this is called Twin Lake Campground. There's another lake, and it's not that far from site 8. The only downfall is it's so wet down there, there's no way you could get a tent there.
No.
Because I would love to see a walk-in site there.
I just don't know where you'd put one out here.
I don't either.
I think a walk-in site out here would be fairly popular.
Oh, it'd never be empty. Because you'd have your own private little lake.
Right. I just don't know where you'd go with it.
There's a trail that goes off this way. We've never actually explored it. I think it's part of the trail network that was on the map at the beginning of the video. But if we follow this little trail, and Stephanie has shown you this lake before in our previous videos about Twin Lake. And this is a kind of steep trail. That's why it's a switchback trail instead of just
Straight
come down the
shot.
cliff here. Neat little boardwalk. But this, you can see, this is all peat moss and bog. This is never going to be dry. You might be able to sneak a sight back in there and amongst those trees. That looks kind of dry.
But it'd be a trick to get in there.
But check this out. And what I love about this view right now is all the tamaracks are gold. But it's just a neat little lake. It's a pond, actually. I told Stephanie earlier, I would love to have this little lake and either have a cabin where we're standing with this view, or maybe up in here somewhere. Because it's so peaceful. But check that out. I could sit here all day. But that's it. This is Twin Lake Campground. And it is a neat little place. So thank you for joining us on our walking tour of Twin Lake Campground. It's in Price County, Wisconsin, in the Medford Park Falls district of the Chequamegon-Nicolet National Forest. It is one of our favorite off-season campgrounds. Sorry we didn't really have any tales to tell you about this campground. We've been here, I think this is our 4th time in the last 3 years, so we come here often enough. It is the birthplace of our YouTube channel, and it actually was just over 2 years ago that the channel was born, so happy birthday to the channel, I guess. You guys take care, stay safe. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave comments down below about what some of the things you think would be cool about this campground. Take care, stay safe, ring the bell, subscribe, you know the drill, and we'll see you at our next tale. Bye-bye.